Now, if there's one thing that Data East are notorious for with pinball restorers, it's their excessive use of staples. But it doesn't matter which manufacturer's cabinet you're restoring, they all, when it comes to their ID labels and tags like this, are stapled onto the inside of the cabinet. Some people will just rip them out, others see it as part of the history of the game, and I agree. Anything that you can keep that's original on a game is part of its story, and this is a big part of its story too. And normally with a staple, you can jam your flathead screwdriver underneath it. If you do any gouging or whatever underneath to get it out, you can fill that and sand it and away you go. However, if we go underneath here, we're going to obviously tear this label, which we don't want to do. So this is a little bit of a trick while we're holding on to the camera at the same time. I'm going to use these. These are really small. I don't know if you have a sense of scale, but they're smaller wire cutters. And then we cut that. And then this is very tricky videoing at the same time, so apologies for some shoddy camera work. Once they're bent up, so you bend them up. Then your label's going to slide straight off. Some guys I've seen scan their label in, do the touch-ups and then reprint it. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. I mean, ideally you keep these original labels. So that's if you're a massive pinball nerd. I mean, otherwise, you know, who cares? But I'm a massive pinball nerd. Just so we can get a sense of before and after, I've just sanded the floor of the cabinet in here, obviously. And I haven't sanded this part yet. That's the difference. You know, I knew it was dirty. There's a bit of grease and grime, but there's the difference. All right, well, here's a unique opportunity for an instant before and after. Because on Guns N' Roses, your start or launch buttons are located next to one another on the front of the cabinet. So we're looking at the front of the cabinet here, and the recessed areas for the start buttons on the front of the cabinet, for whatever reason, the timber around the outside of the button, even though the button's the thing that's always being hit, somehow it gets knocked up or knocked around and dinged up. So to build that back up, we've obviously put lots of bog over the top, and you can see this is what they both looked like before. I haven't got to that one yet. And then this one, just using some dowel and some 80 grit sandpaper. If we do this properly, it'll be super clean now, and we'll flatten this all out with the mouse sander, theoretically, in just a moment. All right, well, that's about as flat as we're going to get it, I think. The mouse sander is proving to be excellent just to get down through piles of the builder's bog. But then once you actually get down, just to the shorter base of it, I think switching to the long, flat hand sander is proving to be wise, just to make sure that you stay flat right the way across. First thing we're going to put on here is the high build Moto Spray one-step primer putty. And that should fill any of the little divots that are about. We've rebuilt all the corners of this thing. It's pretty sharp. Obviously all this has been rebuilt. And is, I mean, we're not even going to see this, it's underneath the leg, but it's still important from a structural point of view. All right, well, that's 3 coats of primer putty. We'll leave that for an hour. In fact, we'll leave that for the night. The amazing thing is it looks pretty good at the front of the cabinet. Remembering this is the part that had the most damage. I mean, someone had tried to kick the coin door in. There was a dent over there around the holes. I mean, that is now flat as a tack. But the incredible thing is, look over there, you can see a crack next to where the holes are. Now that felt perfectly smooth before, so the spray putty has done a great job, no question. But it's also highlighted where we need to do some work, so I guess that's a good thing, right?